How's it going, everyone? My name is Sam with Swellset, and welcome back to the garage. We've got a different kind of video here for you today. I'm just going to be talking. We're not going to be working on a surfboard today. We're going to be talking about what I'm calling the beginner's guide to surfing, right? Or the beginner's progression guide to surfing. Beginner's progression guide to surfing. That's what we're going with. What does that mean? To someone who's never been surfing before, to someone who's just getting into the sport, the kind of boards they should buy, what skills they should be developing, and how long things should take to get to where they want to go, wherever that may be. First off, some disclaimers. Why should you trust me? I don't know. Good question. I'm just some dude on the internet who's talking to a camera right now in his garage, so probably don't, but you're here. So I've been surfing for a long time. I've talked to a lot of smart people over my years, right, who suggest certain things. I've taught some friends how to surf, so I kind of know what I'm talking about, but at the same time, you do you. Find the information where you want to find it. Next thing, I'm also not a professional surfer. I'm just some dude who surfs for fun. If I can get out once a week, great. If not, then it's kind of a bummer. So let's dive into it. I've already been talking for too long. Step number one in learning to surf, and there'll be some controversy and some explanation here, but first step you should always do is buy a foamy. And what do I mean by that? It's a surfboard that's made out of foam, but doesn't have a fiberglass shell on the outside. There's a number of reasons for that, and also some complications that we'll touch on, but what are those primary reasons? First off, it floats, right? It'll float you more than other boards, and that's what you want when you're learning to surf, is something that'll float and catch waves, which is exactly what it does. Second really key feature of a foamy is it's soft, and so it's less likely to injure you or the people around you. Generally, these also come with kind of fake plasticky fins, which is also great so you don't slice yourself or other people that you might hit while you're surfing, which is a common occurrence for someone who's learning how to surf. So there's some really good benefits to using a foam surfboard. General things to look for is get something like 2 feet longer than you are tall. I'm just under 6 foot, like 5'10", let's be honest. But an 8-foot board is great for me. 9 is okay. Anything longer than 9 is too long. It's just gonna be too heavy, too hard for you to really get out there. Anything shorter than 8 foot, if I'm looking at like 6'5" or 7 foot, then that's just too short. So kind of use that as a range, looking at the 2 foot range above where you are tall. The easiest and most classical example of this surfboard is what Costco sells. I call it the Wavestorm because that's what it was when I was growing up. I think technically it's the Jerry Lopez board right now. It's like $100. It's not a great surfboard. It is great for learning on. So there's that caveat there. There are other more expensive options. There's a Mick Fanning surfboard out there that I've heard people really like. There's the Odyssey surfboards, or what are those called? Odyssey? I don't remember. But the Jamie O'Brien surfboards, whatever they're called. Yeah, the Catch surfboards, that's what they are. Catch surfboards. And they're all good, they're just more expensive. So there's nothing wrong with those boards. They're a better board in the long run, but they're more expensive and it's gonna require more of an investment. The downsides to buying a foamy surfboard is it's just not sustainable, right? It's bad for the planet, you're not supporting local shapers, it's not good overall, it's just a good training tool. The biggest way you can overcome that is don't throw it away, right? People think that you buy it, you learn on your surfboard and you throw it away. It's that you shouldn't do that. Years down the road, I still occasionally will take out a Wavestorm that I had in high school. And just when the waves are 2 foot and kind of fun, they're a great option for that. So get a foamy, that's always your best bet. Before moving on to the next step, a frequent suggestion that I see online is instead of buying a foamy, buy a used longboard. And that is another option. It's good. Used longboards, you can find them online. They're good, they will last you longer, you can surf them for longer as well. It's a good option. However, there's a couple downsides to that. Primarily, you're not gonna get the safety feature, right? It's a hard surfboard, you're gonna be falling a lot. It might hurt other people, might hurt yourself. And so you miss out on that. And also you could get scammed by people on the internet, right? Just because a surfboard says it's $150 doesn't mean it's a good surfboard for you. The last thing before moving on to step number 2 of this progression guide is when are you finished with your foamy? That's a great question. ultimately, the two main things you're looking for when you're ready to progress off of your foam surfboard or your used longboard, whatever you end up doing, is catching waves consistently. I guess three things, sorry. Catching waves consistently, fresh waves that have not broken yet, green waves, people refer to them online all the time as, being able to consistently pop up, where you're not falling most of the time, and then turning that board down the face of the wave, where you're riding with the wave as opposed to just straight into the beach. Once you can consistently do those three things, catch the wave, pop up, turn the board down the wave, then you're ready to look at your next board step, whatever that may be. Really quick interjection before we get to the next step. I would really appreciate it if you got this far, maybe you could drop a like on the video and maybe subscribe. I've been making videos, this one is completely new to me, but if you want to come back for some more board buildings or even just interesting surf stuff, hopefully I will continue to make it. I'd appreciate it. It doesn't cost you anything, and I will let you get back to the video now. Thanks. All right, moving on to step number 2. This is where, I'll see if I can get a little graphic going, but this is where we get a little fork in the road. Depends on where you want to go next. If your goal is to just surf for as long as you're alive and have fun doing it with a longboard just because, you know, you get old, things get stiff and whatever, that's your next step, is just buy a longboard, right? Longboards are great. There's lots of different styles of them. There's 3 main ones, but really just buy something that suits you, that you think you might like. Learn lots of cool skills like drop knee turns, walking the board, cross stepping, hang 10, whatever else it may be. Longboards are fun. I've got one right here. They're great. And that's the end of your journey. Cool, you made it. Congratulations. If that's not your end goal, if you want to move down to shorter boards, then there's a few more steps in the process. So let's get to those. That next step is buy a mid-length. Mid-lengths go by lots of names. Some people call them fun boards, some people call them mini malls. They're essentially the same thing, but ultimately what you're looking for is a board that's still taller than you are, probably in like the 7-footish range, maybe 1 foot taller than you are, but has a little bit less width, a little bit less thickness, something that you can begin to throw around a little bit. So that's kind of what you're looking in the surfboard. And what's the goal of this board? What's the goal of this step is to really just continue to progress your surfing knowledge, right? You want to continue to catch waves before they're broken. And that's when you're going to really want to start working on those cutbacks and other maneuvers on the face of the wave, generating speed, getting out in front of it. The mid-length is helpful because it still has plenty of foam for you to catch those waves and spend more time actually on the face. But it gives you the little greater flexibility of actually being able to maneuver that you didn't have in the previous step with your foamy. When do you move on from this step? It depends on the person, really. I would expect to be at this step for a couple of months, but really it's to get that progression going further, right? Where you're catching waves consistently, your pop-up is solid, no issues there, you're turning down the face, and then you're starting to get those maneuvers where you're cutting back to the foam, you're maybe even doing some little like lip taps and things like that, really just getting that board moving up and down the face of the wave and generating speed. That's kind of your indicator of I'm ready to progress down to the next step. All right, so you are finished with your mid-length now, and you're moving on to step number 3, which in this case is get a shortboard. And by shortboards mean lots of things. There's lots of different types of shortboards. In this case, I'm looking at something wide and short. Probably a fish, maybe like a groveler, things like that, where it can really take your surfing to the next step. You're still not quite to the point where you want a high-performance shortboard, like a potato chip, whatever they call them. But these boards are probably around your height, maybe a little bit shorter than your height, depending on what you're looking at. They're still wide. They still have wider tails, which help with catching waves and weight balance and all the stability on the face. But they offer you the most maneuverability that you had so far, right? Where you're able to actually then start to working on top turns, bottom turns, really doing, having a lot of expression on the face of the wave, which is the goal, right? Ultimately, you want to be able to have fun, you want to be able to do tricks, whatever it may be. This stage of the progression is just really fun because you can have a lot of expression as to what kind of surfboard you're buying, what suits your style. You can play a lot more with fin options, if you like twin fins or thrusters or quads, whatever it may be. So it's really fun to experiment and play around with. And you're having the most fun on the waves as well, which is really cool. This is kind of an ambiguous stage of the progression because you can live here forever, right? These shorter boards, these alternative surfboards, whatever you want to call them, are really fun to surf. right? There's no reason to swap down from one of these. Even this board right here, a little bit of a spoiler, this is a 6.0 diamond tail with channels in it, and this would fit in this category, right? This is a fun alternative board. It's got a wide tail, nice width in the middle as well, and you can kind of live here forever, which is a great thing because you can just surf whatever you want to surf whenever you want to surf it. However, if you are looking to progress past this stage, if you want to start working on whatever tricks like blowtails and air reverses and whatever else, then yeah, you're going to want to move past this board, which takes us to our fourth and final stage, which is getting a high performance shortboard. This one is a little bit harder for me to speak to because as I kind of said at the start, I'm not that great of a surfer. I don't even have a high performance shortboard on my racks right now because that's not my preferred style of surfing. But for that kit, for those boards, what you're really looking at is you kind of want something around or shorter than your height. There's volume calculators on a lot of these high performance shortboard manufacturers' websites where you can kind of figure out exactly what kind of length and width you're looking for. Volume is kind of an interesting metric that I don't really love, but it kind of helps for some of these board purchases you're looking at. And this is, I mean, that's kind of the end of the road. You're not looking to progress off of high performance shortboards anytime soon, or not at all really. And you just have fun, right? Buy the boards you want to buy. Hopefully they don't break, because that's kind of a crux of these high performance shortboards is they're fragile because they're so light. But that's where you're really going to be able to push your abilities and your skills to the next level. All right. Before we wrap up this video, I wanted to jump into some quick FAQs, things that I see online or hear from people all the time that I just wanted to address first. The first one is most important. I see it everywhere online. Is you're asking yourself, I am a really experienced snowboarder or skateboarder or whatever else it may be. I've been doing these other board sports for 30 years. Whatever, right? Can I skip the first step? Can I just jump straight to a fish or jump the first 2 steps? Who knows, right? The answer is no, don't. Surfing is unlike anything else that you've done between skateboarding, snowboarding, whatever else, even wake surfing. It's not the same. Do not think that you can skip those first steps. You might be able to progress off of those first steps faster, but do not think that you're going to be able to just jump right into a later stage. And I think that's it. I don't have anything else more prepared. I was just talking off the top of my head anyway, so I probably forgot a whole lot of stuff. And I probably rambled too much. But anyways, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. I'll keep an eye on them. I'll respond to any questions I have. Also, if you have advice for people, right, that I skipped over or I said incorrectly, just drop it in the comments too. Hopefully the people will continue to see these videos in the future, and it can be a source of knowledge for people just getting into surfing. I appreciate you taking the time to watch, and stay stoked.